If you've been scrolling through endless UPS options, flipping between rack mount and tower units, watching countless best of videos, and still feel that knot of uncertainty, this review is going to clear the fog. I know the moment you realize you need a UPS that can actually keep a server room humming during a brief outage, the pressure to pick the right model is real. You don't want to waste money on a unit that's either overkill or, worse, underpowered. Link is in the description if you want to check the product details on Amazon. The APC SURTA3000RMXL3U 3000VA Smart UPS RT sits right in the middle of that decision curve. It's marketed as a high-density, double-conversion, online UPS that can be mounted either as a rack unit or used in a tower configuration. That flexibility is attractive for small to mid-sized data centers that might have a mix of rack space and freestanding equipment. But does it actually deliver on the promises when you plug it into a real-world setup? Let's break it down. First, who should consider this machine? If you run a server room with a few rack-mount servers, a couple of network switches, and perhaps an external storage array, you're likely pulling somewhere between 800 and 1500 watts on a regular basis. The 3000VA rating translates to about 2700 watts of continuous output, so you have a decent safety margin. That means you can attach a handful of devices and still have enough headroom for short spikes, which is exactly the kind of scenario where double conversion technology shines. The double conversion design continuously regenerates clean power, so you're protected from sags, surges, and frequency variations, something you'll notice if you've ever seen a network switch hiccup during a brief brownout. If you're an IT administrator who wants a UPS that can sit on a standard 19-inch rack without taking too much vertical space, the 3U height is actually a benefit. You'll find that most rack shelves accommodate it without sacrificing an entire shelf for a bulky power unit. That's a win if you're trying to keep the footprint tight and preserve room for future hardware. On the other hand, if you have a full-size data center with redundant power feeds and you're already using larger, modular UPS cabinets, this unit may feel a bit small. You'd be better off looking at APC's modular lines that can scale to megawatt capacities. Now, let's talk about the practical strengths that become evident after you power it on. The first thing users notice is the intuitive LCD interface. When you first plug in the unit, the screen walks you through battery test, load configuration, and network settings. This isn't a hidden menu buried under layers of firmware. Everything is front and center, which saves a lot of time during initial deployment. The network card, which comes integrated, lets you monitor the unit remotely via APC's PowerShoot network software. In a real data center, this means you can set up email alerts for battery wear or overload conditions without having to physically check the unit every day. Battery runtime is another key factor. The UPS ships with a sealed lead-acid battery that can be swapped for an external extended runtime module. In a typical office server room, the default battery provides roughly 10 minutes of backup at half load. That window is usually enough for an automated shutdown script to fire, protecting data integrity and preventing hardware damage. If you need longer runtime, say, to keep a network hub alive while a generator starts up, you can add a secondary battery pack without replacing the whole unit. That modularity is a concrete cost saver because you only pay for the extra capacity when you truly need it. The UPS also includes hot swap capability for the power modules. If you ever need to replace a power supply without taking the unit offline, you can do so while it's still running, provided the load is within the remaining module's capacity. In practice, this translates to less downtime for critical equipment, a factor that many IT managers overlook until a module fails. The double conversion design, combined with hot swap, gives a level of redundancy that's usually reserved for much larger, more expensive UPS systems. But there are a few trade-offs that potential buyers should be aware of. First, the UPS is a 120-volt model. If your environment is predominantly 208 or 240 volt, you'll need step-down transformers or distribution units to feed it safely. That adds extra cost and introduces another point of failure. Some users in mixed voltage setups have reported that the added conversion can slightly increase the total harmonic distortion, although for most server loads this isn't a deal breaker. Still, it's worth checking your existing power distribution before you commit. Second, the unit's noise level is not negligible. The internal fans spin up to keep the batteries cool, and while the sound is manageable in a server room, you'll definitely hear it if you place the UPS in a small office space. It's not a factory floor humming, but it's enough that you might want to consider mounting the unit in a dedicated equipment rack with proper ventilation, rather than on a desk or in a conference room. Another